And our next speaker is nominated by the Trinity Arts and Media Association, Jeremy Geelan.
Very grand title for these 12 minutes, but bear with me. This is going to be a story about a journey. It's not going to be a journey as glamorous as the one we heard earlier. It's just going to be my own journey from outside of Trinity Great Gate, more or less. Picture me all those years ago. And it took me to another gate, this one more golden. That's really where I am now, except you've got to come a bit south and you end up at Silicon Valley, which I would show you pictures of, but there isn't really anything in Silicon Valley, as I'm sure Mr. Allott will remind us. So it's more or less to do with, things like our friends have just mentioned, Google sitting there at Mountain View, right in the heart of Silicon Valley, but little known, NASA actually sits in the middle of Silicon Valley. I sit in the middle of NASA, somewhat curiously, in a software development term that happens to deal with security, so it sits very nicely with a sort of multidisciplinary approach, a little like the one that you're suggesting to solve some of the internet's security problems. So that's really what I'm going to try and resolve, how it is that this woebegone English student from Trinity ended up on this journey. So we start, I can't see the resolution even myself. Adrian will recognize this. This is Adrian Poole's book on Coriolanus. So we can work out I was reading English at Trinity, and Adrian Poole, who's sitting right in front of me, the poor fella, was an incredible inspiration, because something odd about Shakespeare, isn't there? One of the things you learn is that, all these Julius Caesar, he sort of roves in time. That's quite a clever idea. You can go anywhere in time because it's fiction, it's plays. Hey, this was an interesting lesson. And whether this is something that Adrian underlined, who knows? But it sat with me and it resonated with me that I get this whole Shakespearean tragedy thing. It's applicable however you like it. I liked that. I liked the thought that what we were being empowered here at Trinity and at Cambridge in general to do was to use this firm base and then go out and explore. So that's what I did. Of course, some of it I did while I was still here. So unfortunately, I started a magazine which you can't read, but Logophile, so for word lovers. And instead of probably writing the essays that I should have delivered to this gentleman, I was writing articles or commissioning articles or whatever. But again, Trinity to the rescue. I had a subscription department where the porters would bring me my mail. These subscriptions were coming in from all over the world. 3 years later, we had subscribers in 32 countries. We had articles from professors. It was wonderful. It was an extraordinary phenomenon. We had, 30, 40 different undergraduates and postgraduates working on it around the university. So we were learning some of the other things we've talked about, that if you collaborate with people, if you have, friends and weak networks, you can do amazing things. So all that was learned here at Cambridge. And then I thought, well, I guess you have to leave at some point. So BBC calls, and actually it calls because of that magazine. And it calls and says, you're the word guy from Cambridge, right? We've just been told you're the word guy from Cambridge. I go, yeah, I'm guilty as charged. Well, we're trying to make, like quizzes have become big, we've discovered at the BBC. So there's only 2 ways to go, numbers or words. And I went, numbers isn't it? So they said, well, then we'll go words. So I actually ended up earning my living for more years than I wish to disclose, creating quiz formats. So it wasn't just words, but something about the interrogatory nature of words appealed to me, and BBC happily paid checks. That led to television, which I won't even reveal what I used to do there, but again, still light entertainment. So nothing actually contributing to this great sum of humanity, and I think that was beginning to wear at me, and I was thinking, so I haven't really contributing to planet Earth yet. So to my rescue came the book industry. My father was a publisher, a book distributor really, but publishing is obviously a jolly good thing for a young man who's going places. So I started a publishing company. So I was still now working for BBC Radio in the mornings, and then I was going to BBC Television for the day, and then I was running a startup, actually, to use a grand word, running an independent publishing company sort of in the other time. So I wasn't, a very friendly person, but I was doing things. But here comes the life lesson starts around about, let's place this in time now, we're talking around about the Berlin Wall era, right? So I'm getting a bit fired up while I'm doing all these silly things, thinking there's a flaw. And I am the only one who spotted it. This is like the idea of the 10 times idea. I thought I'm the 10 times idea guy. The Berlin Wall has fallen down and, well, been knocked down, even more extraordinary. And no one saw it coming. To use my children's phrase, what's up with that? That didn't make any sense to me. I'd come from a university, I had all these faculties in the humanities, and no one could foresee that the foremost symbol of tyranny was actually going to be dismantled, sometimes by the very soldiers who had helped put it up. And with inexplicable, remember we all watched it happen, inexplicable, well, should we just let them through? Yeah, let's just let them through. There are no orders to say don't let them through. Well, let them through. A very strange inflection point, I thought, but not one that academe had contributed to. So for my sins, I said what we need is an academic book publishing company that takes all the different disciplines, the historians, the psychologists, the cognitive side, everybody. Let's have everybody and make sure we don't ever make that mistake again. Let's find out where we're going, help shape it. Very idealistic. I was still very idealistic. So here's some good examples. I can't read on this one, so I'll read it over there. A manager's guide for the 21st century. I thought we better sell to businessmen as well, because I was going to convert the whole business universe as well, without shadow of a doubt. So Vitality and Renewal came out. How about this one? The future is ours. Foreseeing, managing, creating the future, no less. So you can imagine these books were absolutely not being torn off the shelves. Of course, it turned out to be, this was even worse. Then we had the Berlin Wall, so we had to document that, and, was the European project. This has the most marvelous subtitle that you can't see, to do with the end of the European model. It was a disaster. I loved these books. I loved commissioning them. I loved making sure they had the best indexes since God invented the index machine. It was wonderful, but it was a total failure because it didn't make any money, because people don't want to read about disintegrating Europe, and they don't actually care that the future is theirs, not for 32 quid or 16.95 in paperback. So this chap comes to my rescue. And actually my destruction. He frees me from book publishing, because in 1989, 1990, depending who you believe, when Tim Berners-Lee, who remember was a Brit, so let's not say that we totally haven't contributed to the technological future. Berners-Lee invents the World Wide Web. He just wants to link documents to documents. He wants to link CERN, where he was, to other universities, and we know that went very well, but we mostly know it went very well because of things like Amazon. Now we're already skipping through to 1995, before Amazon.com was launched. We didn't really have e-commerce, or not successfully, until 1995. It's just like the other day. So this is a very, very recent thing. And another date, because I know we all use it, even though we're not going to let our children do their essays using it. Only in 2001 did Jimmy Wales start Wikipedia. Law of unintended consequences, he starts it with money from a porn site. Sorry, but that's how it is. But sometimes you can get bad things and good results. And, God bless him, he channeled the money from that site into Wikipedia and simply funded it until it reached the critical mass that it has today. Then you skip forward to 2007, Estonia. That's the Estonian flag. I know you knew that. The Estonian flag is there because in 2007, Estonia made itself the first first country on Earth to have internet election. So you could vote over the internet. They have cracked authentication. They have cracked fraud, and you can vote for your president over the internet, and they did, which I think is the beginning of the sense that, so the internet can actually do stuff. It's not just about, I'm sorry about this 10x thing, but no, it's not just about that. It's about applications. It's about helping. And guess what? 2012, I might be wrong, so I'm not saying this meanly. 2012 is when Trinity goes online on Facebook. So, you've seen the brochure there, this thought about the old and the new. Pretty good to have embraced Facebook. Facebook themselves have got plans over and above Trinity College, Cambridge. They believe that in Facebookistan, or whatever it's now called, they have 1 billion what they call regular monthly users, right? No one can see the books, no one can vet that. But that's a lot of people if you think in terms of nation states. That's quite a lot of power. That's the future that our children anyway, have embraced, this sort of internet of people. But if you recall, the title of this talk is not the internet of people, the internet of things. So the only thing I want you to go away knowing about technology from this wonderful marquee and this wonderful day is that I think the internet is wonderful, and I myself very happy to shop on Amazon, even though it sort of wiped out my publishing company by making the way we used to do things useless. But the Internet of Things is really when it gets interesting. So the Internet of Things, you know, what's the simple application? You're never going to lose your phone because it'll send you an email saying I'm lost or whatever. You're never going to lose that jetliner. Sorry to be morbid, but very odd in 2013 to lose a jetliner, or was it this year? Very odd. Well, in the Internet of Things, everybody's got so many sensors on their shoes, on their glasses, that somebody would have been trackable from the passengers, if not the wings, the tail, very, very odd. I can't explain how that happened. It will never happen again. For sure, we'll never lose anything. If something's stolen, we'll certainly know where it is. That produces interesting social consequences, because we can email the criminal and say, I can't help seeing you're using my phone, or I can't help seeing you're running in my shoes. Could you return with them? And the Internet of Things is also about much more than silly little things that you're hearing at the moment, like electronic fridges and whatever. It's about, look, shipping. If you're moving oil, knowing the exact level of the oil in your ship via sensors at any time is a hugely commercially important asset, because as you're coming towards Hong Kong, they need grade B oil. Oh my God, just turn to the left. That's the tanker that needs the very grade we've got. We can quickly get there before the ship from Singapore. It's all Internet of Things type applications. You are going to hear about that an awful lot. This is the number of devices, the number of things exceeded the population of the world in 2008. So we're way past that inflection point. And by 2020, look at that number. There'll be 50 billion things, including your phones. Your phone is a thing. Here's how Americans talk about it. Obviously, in terms of money, $1.9 trillion is going to come from the Internet of Things. So just, you know, I say that to you. A lot of people are going to be trying to make money out of it. But this chap had, I think, a more interesting take on, you know, the future and the past and all those things. And in my journey, I've been more inspired by him than even Tim Berners-Lee. So this is really down to Adrian. It's all his fault. Shakespeare is to blame. And I'm thinking, as I come towards, you know, the end of my productive use, so let's go back one. This is a Shakespearean sonnet. I was also lucky enough to be taught by Theo Redpath, so sonnets are something very dear to me. Weary with toil, I haste me to my bed. That's sort of me. But then begins a journey in my head to work with my mind when bodies works. So I was thinking, I'm getting to this stage now. You know, I've done all this chasing around, all this flying. So now, as I slow down, my mind is going to be enriched. It's going to make sense of it all. And I'm just looking forward to that, as some of you might be looking forward to it. And then, damn, I find this bloody Japanese proverb. Now look what it says. When you've completed 95% of the journey, you're only halfway there. So I am completely screwed, pardon my French, and I don't know what to do with that except to say one thing, which I learned from Trinity College, which is that all learning comes from the journey and not the destination. Thank you.